What's up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again with the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel, and we are talking some NFL draft prospects ahead of the 2022 NFL draft. Today, we are going to be hitting on Purdue's David Bell, but before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so knowing this and all other content goes live. We're also brought to you today by Underdog Fantasy, and if you don't know Underdog, they have all sorts of contests available to you, from best ball leagues to live drafts, pick'em contests where you can make up to 10 extra entry fee. If you use the promo code Awesemo, you are going to get a match deposit bonus up to $100. So make sure to check out Underdog Fantasy. Today's prospect, we are getting into Purdue's David Bell. We've talked a lot of risers in the process. We've talked a lot of receivers so far, but David Bell is someone who's actually fallen a little bit since the process has started. David Bell comes out of Purdue. He is decent size. He's 6'1", 212 pounds, a little smaller than some people thought. But really what has lowered David Bell has been the testing numbers. He ran a 4.65 40-yard dash, jumped 33 inches in the vertical, and he actually ran a little worse at his pro day. So this is a major concern here. He's still very young, 21 and a half years old, played the 3 years at Purdue. He was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school, the number 19 receiver in the 2019 class, and he produced right away when he hit the field at Purdue. He had 1,000 yards as a freshman. That was with Rondale Moore on the field too. Of course, Rondale got hurt in the second season. We saw him, the Big Ten had that shortened season, but he still racked up 53 catches and 625 yards. But where he really broke out was this past year, where he jumps all the way up to 93 catches, 1,286 yards, 6 scores, and that was on a 24.5% target share. And he did it as a boundary receiver, just going into the slot 16% of the time. This was under Jeff Brom in the spread scheme they ran, which was very passive, very up-tempo. We're talking 76 plays per game. That was 22nd in the country, 61% pass rate. That was 6th in the country. So there was a lot of passing opportunities for David Bell here. And when we look at the box score, this guy did it against all sorts of competition in the Big Ten. Non-con, no issues there. Over 100 yards against Oregon State. And then once he gets into Big Ten play, 120 yards against Minnesota, 240 yards against Iowa, 217 yards against Michigan State, 103 yards against Ohio State, 100 yards against Northwestern. Just ridiculous production against some of the better defenses in the Big Ten here. Now, trying to translate this to the next level, there are some concerns. We mentioned the size and speed. He's a player that has never been on special teams. He doesn't really have injury concerns. He only missed one game with a concussion, but overall, that speed profile could knock him down boards. Even with the limited athleticism, he was still 14th in the country in yards per route run. But bringing you back to the profile, when we look at comparisons, David Bell has a lot of players I would consider high floor, low ceiling players in his comparables. His number one, per my model, player comparison was Mohamed Sanu. But a couple other players in this were Josh Palmer, Rashard Matthews, players that had success at the NFL level, but also players that didn't have as much of a ceiling. Now, one player who actually meets these thresholds and was a little slower coming out of school was Hakeem Nicks. And I think that's kind of the ceiling for him. When you start looking at some other players here, Michael Crabtree, DeAndre Hopkins, they have similar profiles in terms of size, but they're both faster. So that speed is going to ding David Bell. And I wouldn't be surprised if some teams view him as a big slot receiver because of that size. Now, looking at teams that could use a receiver like this, I think we're strictly speaking day 2 prospect, maybe even early day 3. So ultimately, at that point in the draft, no team is off the board really, but you talk about some teams that need some receiver help. Maybe a team in the Arizona Cardinals could use a David Bell. They re-sign AJ Green, but they're dealing with the departure of Christian Kirk, and they could certainly use some more depth at that position. Maybe even the Cowboys, who are looking for a replacement for Amari Cooper. David Bell certainly not that kind of player, but overall, we're talking a day 2, late day 2, early day 3 guy in David Bell. Let me know where you think David Bell comes off the board of the NFL draft and to what team. I think he's a day 3 guy, early day 3, but let me know what you think. I am Matt Gajewski on Twitter, at Matt_Gajewski. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again next time.